a few people are watching already.
Hi everyone. So I'll intro this a little bit in this debut webinar. Well, it's more of like a live Q&A really for this one. But yeah, basically we've been having Encore Drinks has been a really cool format in terms of getting direct feedback, good and bad from musicians, and we've learned a ton of it from it, and it's really helping us in terms of where we go and building something that's really useful for all of you.
For those of you who don't know, Encore Drinks is the event that we put on every few months or so, where we invite all our musicians to our workplace here in Moorgate in London.
The problem obviously is it's London, so not everyone's able to get to it. So this is just something we're testing out, and yeah, hopefully it's useful. So please give us your feedback afterwards. And the idea moving forward is, say, this is going to be a bit more of like a live Q&A, but the idea really is to have it as more of a webinar format and start going through really useful topics. So something we get asked a lot about is, what can I do to my profile to help it convert a bit better when I'm applying for jobs? So what we may do in a couple of weeks or a couple of weeks after that is go through a profile that may be converting really well and kind of compare that to one that's maybe converting not so well, but from an equally talented musician, and just kind of show the little bits that may be tweaked and might be subtle differences, but can make a real difference in the eyes of the customer. So yeah, that'll be the general idea. And what those topics are will be fed by all of you. So if there's a really popular topic, that's something we can dig into and try and hopefully have some really useful insights and tips, and yeah, help everybody win more bookings.
Yeah. Should we start off by just introducing ourselves a bit? So I'm Johnny. I'm the head of artist relations at Encore. So yeah, I really love being able to spend most of my
and whatnot. And yeah, like fundamentally, like a big focus for me since I've been here and ongoing now on a day-to-day is just one, helping customers find the right musicians for their event, but more so just really trying to understand as much as possible about our customers and what motivates them to book, what they're scared of. I think the whole point of Encore was to create a really efficient kind of meeting place for both customers and musicians to transact beyond physical environment. And there's challenges with that, because even though we've got fantastic musicians on the platform and there's some brilliant media there to showcase it as well, people are often used to seeing bands live. So the challenge we've got is to build confidence in customers and try and create the equivalent of a live experience through this digital screen. And it's a really exciting challenge because it unlocks so many opportunities for musicians to win bookings outside of natural serendipity or referrals. And these are still obviously major channels and will continue to be, but there is a lot of opportunity in the internet as well. So yeah, that's kind of main focus for me, just learn as much about customers as possible, and how this particular market can keep up with the trend of online purchasing. Customers are spending more and more money online and getting more comfortable with it. So, music, this market that we're all in, is going to be a part of that as well, and is. But there's a real opportunity for that to grow massively. But there's a lot to learn in that process. But I suppose we could kind of get into some useful stuff now rather than talking about ourselves. Yeah. So I think, as mentioned before, this one is less kind of a webinar, kind of like educational piece and going over particular topics, like, say, a highly converting profile. In this one, it's probably a bit more like a live Q&A. So we do have some questions that have come through various users on the platform. We've got a couple outlined already, but we'll be responding directly to what happens in YouTube and also Facebook.
Yeah. So to kick things off, I thought it would be helpful just to remind you all of what's been happening at Encore over the last couple of months. So you may have noticed in the community will improve your chances of getting booked. So all of these things are some kind of idea of what you're going to be spending. We fully understand that when you're quoting for clients, every quote is bespoke, every quote is different. But these starting prices, we think, will help give clients a better idea of how much they might be spending when they're browsing Encore. So, and if they have a better idea, then you'll get less inquiries from clients who don't have realistic budgets, and hopefully you'll lead to be more qualified as a result. You'll get better clients, I suppose. So that's starting prices. We've also recently released external reviews. A number of you were very helpful in beta testing a version of this external reviews feature a few weeks ago. But this enables you to add reviews onto your Encore profile for gigs that took place outside of the Encore platform. So we want Encore to be a place where you can build your reputation as a musician online. Obviously, if you get booked on Encore and you get a review from that, that's a really great way of showing clients that you're a reputable musician. But we appreciate you're getting bookings from lots of other sources, lots of other channels. So we think this external review feature will be another way for you to present yourself to clients and again help clients trust you and send you more inquiries and bookings. Yeah. So yeah, and finally, you might have seen this week actually, we've pushed live a new feature called the verified Encore badge. This is still in beta, so it's only available to community forum members. But this is a badge that you can add to your website, which enables you to show your clients when they go to your website you're trusted by platforms like Encore. But also, once you verified that you added the badge to your website, we'll then give you a little boost in our ranking as a sort of a show of good faith for that small bit of publicity for us. So yeah, those are kind of three big features that have gone out recently, specifically aimed at helping musicians get more bookings, essentially. But moving on, I think we should kick off with away from her own personal website. So essentially, she thought it might cannibalize her own direct inquiries and take them onto Encore, where we're obviously taking a commission. That wasn't the purpose of the badge. So just to clear that up, the badge is meant to be discreet and it's not aimed at driving clients onto Encore. But it brought up an interesting question, I think, which it seems a number of musicians have about Encore, which relates to why we charge that 15% and what that 15% goes towards. Yeah, I've been speaking for a while now, so I thought I'd bring Joel back into the conversation. So if I'm a musician and I'm looking at all the sources of bookings that I can get, I've word of mouth, which is free, which is great, because clients can see me perform and they're likely to have a better understanding of what they're going to get. There's a really high likelihood of booking. That's brilliant. But then, I don't know, I can't fill my diary purely with word of mouth because I'm not fully established yet. So I have my own personal website, which I have to maintain. And I can get direct bookings through it and I don't have to pay a commission. So why as a musician should I bother investing my funds, I suppose, in a platform that charges a commission or that kind of model?
Yeah, I mean, I think fundamentally it's you're going to have your primary bookings, which are going to, at the moment, the main channel is going to be you performing live and there's somebody sees you there, whether it's, say, their friend's wedding, and they say, hey, I'd love you to play at mine. Or it could be that there's a referral from somebody, or you've played a gig elsewhere and someone's happened to be there. That's, for now, still going to be the main channel. But obviously that's restricted because there's a huge bit of this market which you're not visible to. And so fundamentally, I think, whether it's us or any other channel you have available to you, it should be seen as additional bookings. It's there are opportunities that didn't previously exist. I think before we even talk about, it's going to sound like very pro-Encore, but I do think a lot of what we do is very good. But before we get into any of that, the fundamental thing is that this meeting place of customer and musician wouldn't happen without the platform. Mm-hmm. So, and we know the work that goes in day to day as well in terms of even knowing what AdWords to be bidding on and where we should be advertising to generate this traffic, where we should be building reputation and credibility to attract customers and make them feel comfortable with spending large amounts of money online for people they've never met before or seen, for what events are going to be the most important in their life. So what we invest in terms of our kind of content output as well, so we can help educate customers and help them and build credibility for ourselves and therefore the musicians as well. Just that alone is really important. I think the next bit as well, even from the financial side of it, I think we looked a lot at the kind of landscape of the market to begin with anyway, and there's certainly traditional agents that can charge more than that, but it seems to be around the right benchmark. But that's the agent side. If we look at marketplaces, there are marketplaces which provide similar service to what we do. You could be looking at 40%. So, I think we're also a business. Like, it costs a lot to run this, and there are a lot of costs associated, and you need something that's viable. But I think it's a very fair amount. And I think also what's quite good is obviously yourself and James have been booked through Encore as well as musicians. Obviously, when you're quoting, as everyone knows, you don't have to lower your price. You sort of say, here's what the price is, and then you build that in. What I do find is really important is that, and the customers certainly respond well to it as well, is just seeing one price. Like, it doesn't work well when you're then messaging a customer and you then break down what's included. It kind of devalues it for them if they, nobody likes the idea of fees or additional costs, and a customer doesn't necessarily instantly appreciate as well. Hey, I've just magically found this artist on the internet. We don't necessarily stop as a customer and say, oh wow, yeah, that site must have high running costs. It might take a hell of a lot of work from a lot of people to make it easy for me to find a bunch of artists that are available on my day that match the style I'm looking for on my day. We speaking to customers all the time, we find they get incredibly frustrated just searching through bands' websites that take a while to find through a lot of searching, and they've got busy lives, and then find musicians who are unavailable or maybe they're too expensive. So it's a really time-consuming process for them. And what we're trying to do is just make it really, really easy. Our challenge is doing it for both sides, and we're not perfect at either of them yet, but we really are dedicated to trying to get as close to that as we can.
So that's quite a broad picture of the kind of things that our service fee pays for. But just to pick out a few of your points, Joel, it seems we're talking about marketing. So as a musician myself, I can do that. I can set up my own AdWords campaigns and bid on terms to try and generate traffic going directly to my website. But this is time and effort and money that I'm going to have to spend. So that's perhaps a proportion of that 15% is in the marketing and the acquisition of the client to begin with. Then there's the client journey afterwards. So the experience that a client has when they're going on their booking journey. Obviously, if they find your phone number on your website and pick up the phone, get in touch with you directly, that might be very quick and simple. But if they're not ready to book yet, as Joel said, it could be quite a time-consuming process. If they're opening 20-odd musician websites in their browser and checking out each one, perhaps they don't have an easy way of comparing criteria like price or booking duration or lineup options. So I think our assumption is if we're able to provide clients with a service that's a nicer experience, with a more trustworthy experience, then we'll get more bookings going through as a result.
Absolutely.
So the total, well, our dream, I suppose, as well, is that the total number of people that are booking musicians will go up as a result, in the same way that Airbnb has opened up travel abroad for a lot of people because it's just made it very easy. Ordinarily, people might have chosen to just stick to their usual holiday destination, but now you can find a treehouse in Alabama to go and run away to for a week or something like that. So I think there's a parallel there, and we hope that by providing a nicer experience for clients, we'll generate more bookings as a result.
Yeah, I think just also going back to the quoting part as well. So when I've said what I said before about the quoting, musicians have said to me, well, what if then somebody's bidding lower than me? For some customers, that is true. If you have a customer that is very price sensitive, that can be the case. And sometimes you can gauge that information from what they put in the inquiry itself. But in most parts, people are booking, particularly with weddings and stuff, it's like the most important moment of their life. And within a certain budget range, price isn't normally the most important thing. What's most important, again, within a certain range, of course, but what's most important is having the right act. So I would never worry about thinking, oh, what an artist is, say if it was for a function band, an artist might have quoted £100 less. Or if it's within what the client has specified as a budget, it's all going to come down to who do they feel is the most right for their event on that day.
Yeah, and that definitely willing to inquire about booking music, then they've already gone through the thought process of writing.
But also after, because customer success is really important to us. And one of the big bits of feedback we get as well is just that they're surprised at how transparent and easy the pricing is as well. Just kind of looking at the price at checkout and being like, okay, that's the fee of the musician, and there's the travel cost. Done, easy. They're not then seeing a Encore fee put on the top. Customers just like seeing something all in, that's the price. There's no kind of surprises. So they like it like that. But again, just one point I did make before is what doesn't end up converting as well is then if the musician is then in conversation, it's already a really good stage, there's certainly a lot more chance of converting at that point. But then if it's saying, oh, we would be a bit cheaper if we didn't have this Encore fee, it devalues the proposition of the marketplace to the customer potentially as well, which then makes them feel overall like they're not getting as good a deal, even though that's actually really unfair because this platform has then done a brilliant job of helping them find what they're looking for in a really easy and efficient way. And
so you're saying in a way, having a fee might in fact increase a client's chance of using a service in the same way that people will decide to spend a bit more on a premium service, or spend a bit more on something, and as a result, they'll consider it a premium service. They'll consider it a higher quality. Is that what you mean? Or?
No, what I was saying there is just that once a price is visible to a customer, like don't confuse things. Basically, just so that's the price. If they want, a DJ set added on, or if they want extra performance time or anything like that, then obviously that can be added on. But I think the point is making is breaking down the cost, like in terms of okay, here's the Encore part, here's the other part. In most cases, they'd rather just know here's how much it's going to cost.
Sure. Right. Well, that was a fairly long answer to that question, but I think we've kind of covered a lot of different points there. So should we just have a quick check to see whether anyone has asked a question, or indeed if anyone's watching live.
I don't have access to YouTube on this one.
That's true. I'll have a look. We do. So this is Live Lounge Music. Having been on the roster of several traditional offline agencies, more or less since we started 7 or 8 years ago, the company said the future is in online booking platform. Thanks for chiming in with that. That is interesting. One thing maybe.
We have lots of music puns here.
Nice musical adjective. That was actually something I was going to mention that was included in Rachel's question. She was concerned about where the future of music booking was going. And I may have misinterpreted this, but the way I read her comment was that at the moment, of the musical pie, a lot of it is going to be word of mouth. It's always going to be word of mouth for a lot of people because it's easier, and if you've spoken to a musician, you know what they're like. It's much easier to build trust. But for the remainder of bookings, there are lots of other services out there. There are listing sites, there are platforms, there are agencies. We feel that platforms like Encore work a bit better because they're this sort of in-between ground for musicians that can't necessarily afford to spend money on a traditional agency, which might not give them the transparency that they want. They might not give them control over the name of their band, might not give them control over how much they charge. The other end of the spectrum is a listing site. So these sites typically came out of the early stages of the internet, where you pay a subscription in order to be listed on a site, and you're paying for the traffic that goes to that site. So that deals with the sort of entry point of the funnel. There's a lot of chat happening. I'll just quickly clear up. So I feel platforms are this sort of middle ground, which gives musicians the control that they want over their quotes and over their pricing, while also giving the client a good user experience throughout the buying journey, and not just taking them to a listing and saying, right, you do the payments, you do the communication from here. So I'm just having a quick look at what Live Lounge has been saying. There's quite a lot here. Seems like James has been chiming in. Okay, the whole thing. So you're saying company, we can say that the future is in online bookings platforms and not agencies who charge 20% plus. In contrast, Encore has only generated 5 bookings so far in 9 months. Some of these are delivering a net fee to us that is in excess of what we would quote to a direct customer. Okay. Being said here is that there's a range of channels available to musicians, like PopTop, which is a similar-ish platform to Encore. But yeah, I'm obviously glad to hear that you've been receiving some bookings through Encore so far. Yeah, I definitely agree that at the moment, as a musician, it's definitely worth having a broad range of channels. The music industry, when it comes to the internet, the live music booking industry is still sort of in the balance, it feels. I think if you go to a musician's website, you'll often see links out to lots of different platforms, and we're not going to encourage exclusivity necessarily, but yeah. No, certainly we feel that Encore is one of the more forward-thinking channels, and that obviously we believe in what we do, and we think and hope that what we offer is the best solution.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about like exclusivity, for example. I believe that's something you earn. You know, if you can deliver something that really is useful and helpful and generates business for musicians, and then it provides this incredible, trustworthy, consistently great experience for customers that over-delivers, then eventually what you do is you build reputation, and then we hopefully learn and get better and better and better at what we do, and hopefully in turn help grow the digital part of this market, which then creates a lot more business for everyone. So I think there's I still think it's kind of like intimacy a bit in terms of like the potential of this space. Because I think one of the big challenges again is replicating this live experience through the screen. And there's barriers with having the cost of getting the right digital media, and then what exactly the format is. What is the perfect format to really try and recreate that experience? But we are seeing that there are a lot of customers, because they're booking through the site, who do feel that even at the stage it's at now, they feel comfortable enough to say, yeah, this may be my wedding, but I think I know enough about this band based on what I've seen on the screen, and then perhaps had a phone call with them or exchange some messages to pay a lot of money and have them, put my reputation on the line when I'm a guest of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did we want to? Are there any more questions here? Or did you want to go into? I think there's some questions you curated here from different musician chats.
Live Lounge, do chime in with a question if you have one in particular. I think, I appreciated your feedback, but I couldn't necessarily see a particular question up. So if you have something you want us to chat about, feel free to comment. Great. So number 2. So one thing that we've been thinking about, or I think about a lot, is how musicians can improve their conversion rates on Encore. We get a lot of inquiries coming in, a lot of people are applying for inquiries, but we know that clients are shopping around online. We've done surveys on our clients, and we found that most of them will be using Encore, but they'll be using a number of different sites as well to try and decide which musicians to book for their events. So that poses various challenges for us as a platform, and for you as musicians as well when you're quoting. It's just a very competitive space, and it's a challenge. So I suppose we could begin with what we do, I suppose, to try and encourage clients to stick with booking through Encore, and to ensure that inquiries don't expire, as sometimes they do if a client goes cold and doesn't book a musician on Encore. So perhaps, Joel, do you want to talk about some of the things that you have in place to try and encourage clients to book on Encore, and so as a result improve the conversion rates of inquiries to bookings on Encore?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the first thing, obviously, we want, for a crazy reason, like there's tons of snow and the band's cars break down and they can't get to a gig, we'll do everything we can to get them a really suitable replacement on the day, because a refund isn't good enough when it's your wedding or you're an event, you're a bar manager and you need music playing to keep customer footfall and bar spend. So we do everything we can to help them still have a successful day or event.
So it's safer as a client. If I'm a client, I feel safer booking through Encore because I know that the music is going to be sorted regardless of
we're going to do everything we can for that.
What happens in the weather.
Absolutely. So I think to hopefully do a good job of assuring the customer, like, we're here for you to be successful. It's not just about taking your money during a transaction. It's about making sure that you achieve what you want to achieve here.
Yeah.
So I think,
and then on the platform itself, I suppose we regularly, if the client goes cold, if the client doesn't reply to a musician, then we regularly send emails to chase up that client as well, just to reassure them.
And cool. Like the biggest, like fundamentally as well, like the bookings team, our number one job when a customer inquiry comes in is to help that customer, like as humans, and then also as the platform and as technology as well, to help them find the right band for their event. And
the bookings team, just quickly. So the bookings team is Joel, it's Harry and Alexandra, who a number of you have spoken to, and they're in charge of helping clients with booking.
Yeah, exactly. And we don't want to ask too many questions during the inquiry form because, well, you fatigue people at that stage, and then they don't make it through the inquiry form. There's inquiries, and they can't do a booking. So we want to get enough information. At that point, we want to, if we need to understand more, we want to try and learn as much as we can about, okay, beyond genre, what are your goals for this event? If it's a wedding, it's not just about having a good quality band. It's, can that band get everyone dancing? I need my guests dancing. That's what I need a band to do for me.
So we help them make their decisions, essentially.
Well, no, they make their own decision, and they like to make their own decision. But what we try and do is, if we find, for example, the tags haven't been perfectly right, we'll amend that so that we can, again, we try and understand as much as possible about what that customer wants and needs, and hopefully help enable them via the platform, via ourselves, to get the right type of matches. They can then, whether it's them or their friends or colleagues, they're able to go through, view the videos, and in a sec we'll come to things that musicians can do to at this stage really help with conversions. But yeah, what we try and do to maximise the chance of conversion, and this is the thing I haven't mentioned, is speak to them as soon as possible, obviously. And this is where my what I have to do is exactly the same as what a musician has to do. Is when a customer is making an inquiry, and again, we all have busy lives, so there's all loads of things going on. When we make an inquiry, that's when it's of most interest to us, and we're really thinking about it. So the interest is there, and gradually it's going to go there, might be there, but you want to try and get in why it's relevant, why they've got time and they're dedicated. So we try and get in as quickly as possible, whether that's via the platform of giving them relevant results straight away, or whether that's via me or one of the team getting on the phone and saying, we'd love to learn more. What's most important to you? What do you imagine? So we try and do that. And yeah, as I say, put really simply, our job is to help facilitate them finding the right thing that they imagine.
Yeah. That said, one thing that we're aware of is that the current journey that the client takes in order to make an inquiry on Encore is only one possible route that most clients will necessarily, is one method that most clients will want to use to browse positions in the first place. So Encore works really well if a client comes to the landing page and they know, right, I want to book a bagpiper and that's it. Or I know exactly what kind of band I want, I'm going to inquire for it, and I have a budget in mind that I'm fairly set on. We know that a number of clients will use the inquiry form just to get some quotes to go and chat to their friends about. They're not necessarily going to be intent on booking. So we think that there's another route that clients will want to take, and that's the traditional sort of browsing catalog experience. So lists of musicians, lists of prices, you can just have a flick through. You're not necessarily ready to buy yet, but you just want to get an idea of quotes. So we're actually working at the moment on building that, and it should be ready in the coming months. So we think that that's actually going to really help with conversion as well. So you'll see less clients getting in touch that have a lower likelihood of actually getting in touch with you. So that's a bit about clients and what we do to help them improve conversion. So there
talk a little bit about the kind of musician side as well. Is that what you're going to lead into?
That's exactly what I was going to say, John. It's almost like a finishing way.
I always say we can make a great double act.
Yeah. You're meant to say sentences at that point.
Okay, so obviously some of you may have, I say some of you, there might only be 2 people watching, but anybody that did make it to Encore, the last Encore drinks, or checked out Johnny's blog post afterwards, we had a couple of brilliant musicians come and have a chat with myself and the musicians that attended, just about converting bookings in the digital age. And some of the things I just spoke about, what me and the team try and do to, again, really help the likelihood of conversions with each inquiry that comes in. A lot of the principles are exactly the same as what musicians do. And there's some musicians I've spoken to that are fantastic at it because they've been doing it, all their careers. So if they speak to somebody that likes them after a gig, they know how to quickly get to that place where it's like, okay, I've got another booking. And it's really simple, to be honest with you. It's again, there are different things you can do, but fundamentally it's simple. It's how, based on what this person has told me, how do I help give them exactly what they want? It's in a nutshell. So, if somebody's put in their inquiry, and again, not everybody gives all this information. So, yeah, it's not always as easy as I'm saying. But if somebody has been quite specific and they've said, what's really important to me is that for a first dance, like me and my partner have All of Me by John Legend, answering that specifically in the cover note straight away makes, and again, bear in mind, this is displaying the credibility of yourself. And, we talk about having customer reviews. I think external reviews really helps with this now. But also being able to say, we've played these things before. If wedding couple, engaged couples are, a big part of your customer base, essentially, to play a lot of weddings, then being able to have pictures that are from, and again, people want people to be dancing weddings. So if you've got pictures from weddings you performed and the great shots of people dancing, the bride's super happy, and the guests are super happy, if you've got access to this imagery, it's really, really powerful because, again, they kind of, they're hiring musicians to be an authority and the expert as well. So being able to say, we do loads of events like this, and we know how special they are, and I can reassure you we'll be able to get your guests dancing. We can do that first dance song. If there's a couple of others you'd like us to learn as well, we can. But here's our extensive repertoire list. I think just being able to address, again, the common concerns that they may not mention, but we know is true of that that segment. But then also anything specifically to say in the inquiry, be super specific to that in your response, and it'll be, as well as polite, it'll really, really help. Another thing as well,
just to come in on that. So one thing that was actually about what you and the bookings team have been doing recently, just to back up what you've been saying. So the bookings team will often send emails to clients that have got in touch to try and help them with their bookings. And recently we've been experimenting with a few different formats, and we found that actually the personalized emails often convert better than the kind of the using a mail merge and sending an email to lots of people that might not be particularly tailored to that inquiry. So this isn't something that we're just telling you to do because we think it's a good idea. It's backed up by a lot of best practices and a lot of
also it's
our own research as well.
It's common sense as well. Like people like being treated like humans because they are. So again, being able to, rather than talk at someone, listen to them and be able to address what they need, and work in partnership to get to that end result. But you threw me off. What did it say? I can't remember what it was. But it's something really important and helpful.
Sorry. Well, maybe we'll come back to you.
Cool.
So just to summarize, I suppose, to improve your own conversion rate as a musician, before you even apply for a job, I suppose there's the presentation of your act. That comes down to how you filled in your Encore profile, so having a great biography. But most importantly, it's media. It's your videos and your show reels. So
and having as many videos as possible. I mean, we so we also record all the customer feedback we get, so we can see it from like a quantitative level as well as qualitative. And the amount of people that say, "Are there more videos? Are there more videos?" Because again, you can see one great piece of media, but some of the questions we have come back is, will they sound like this live? And also, it doesn't. If you just hear one song, it doesn't necessarily allow you to imagine what it might be with other repertoire, and so you're not getting a big enough window or a clear enough window. So yeah, I mean, there's different ways you can do it. You can have multiple videos. A few musicians have done it really well with having, say, a longer form video, but then it goes into like different songs with different performances. As long as it's done professionally. Again, you want it to sound good still.
Yeah, if you haven't got videos produced professionally yet, I've recently published a blog post detailing 10 relatively cheap options for getting a great showreel produced. So I'd really highly recommend checking that out, because it is step one really of getting bookings online. Even if you have a really established reputation, that doesn't necessarily carry in a few pictures. People want to be able to see, or even MP3 recordings or SoundCloud recordings. It really needs to be video for most clients. So there's the presentation aspect to begin with. Then, as you mentioned, there's the communication, which needs to be personalized and it needs to be really timely. But yeah, I would say those two kind of two-pronged attack, I suppose. You need to be able to make sure that your profile is in order and you've presented yourself as the best possible you can be. And then there's the communication side. So you need to make sure you're responding quickly, but also with a really nicely personalized message.
Oh, and also the thing that we didn't get to is, and it sounds like a bit of a dig and kind of is, kind of isn't, but if somebody asks for a mariachi band and you're a jazz band, don't quote for it. Like, just because some people do that, and I understand why, because they're thinking, okay, well, if they change their mind, they might go for this, or it might allow them to think about a different option. It just doesn't convert, and actually, it can have a detrimental effect if then on their inquiry page they're seeing some options that just aren't relevant. It lowers the trust. So if you're not the right, if you're a harpist and it's asked for a guitar player, it should be obvious, but don't apply to it.
Yeah, sure.
You know, it's same with like genres. And if you can do it and you're quite versatile, you do multi-genres, it was really important to contextualize the media that you display. So, you know, because there are some bands that are brilliant with, they can do like folk versions of their setup. They can have jazz, they can have swing, they can have pop. If according to what you're applying for, have the video is contextualized to that, so the customer can understand that. Because if they, even if you can do it, if they can't see and hear that straight away, they're just going to look at another option and they're going to discard it. So being able to do that as well. In fact, even within a particular genre, there are a couple of musicians who are really good. Even if it's within the same genre, say it's like I don't know, Motown. They might, based on what, because it might be a different bits of repertoire that they'll show as the first video. So not everybody's got that luxury behind loads and loads of media, but the more you do have it is an advantage, and the more you can contextualize what the customer sees accordingly to what they've inquired about, really will improve chances.
Yeah, cool. I think we've probably covered that question. Should we just quickly check if we've got any other people?
Yeah.
Do you want to have a look on Facebook? No one in particular. But if you have any questions and you're watching this back, feel free to comment.
Well, Shireen said she was she was watching, and then James said, "Hey, Shireen, welcome to the webinar. Do you have any burning questions for us?" I mean, Shireen spoke on the phone recently, so I feel like, Shireen, if you're there, please ask a question.
Maybe it's not burning. Maybe it's just simmering. So the final question that we had jotted down, which I often get asked via email, is what's happening with the app. So you may have noticed that the app currently isn't necessarily on par with the website experience. So it's, for a start, it was always designed to be built as something that worked in accompaniment with the website. It was basically just for use for receiving messages, functionality issues with it as well. And if you come across that, the reason that they haven't been kind of fixed immediately is actually because our tech team are working on completely rebuilding the app. We've decided that the app in its current shape would be best retired, and we're actually building a new one that's more in line with our new designs on the website. And in fact, the tech team were away for the whole of yesterday working on the app. So they're gradually kind of chipping away at it, and we hope to release it out to you within the next few months or so. But yeah, I just wanted to reassure people that we are aware of the app problems, but we're also really gunning for producing a really kind of first-rate app, which we think will be one of the best ways to hear about gigs, actually. And we don't think there are many other apps like it. So yeah, I just wanted to reassure you about that, and looking forward to releasing that. James is trying to make his way out, but he's found the doors locked, so that didn't work very well. But yeah, So that was just like a final point, I suppose. I know time is rolling on.
Just also mention about like some of the support as well. Like like with so we try really. I know the burden's on you a lot, but obviously we know that some musicians are a bit frustrated with not getting answers quick enough coming from help at encoremusicians.com when there's a tech issue. We know it's not always perfect to kind of go through like the FAQ articles and stuff like that, but there genuinely is like most of the problems we see can be solved there, and we're really not trying to be impolite and lazy by not getting back to everything. The way it's just there's extreme volume, and the way we try and handle it at the moment is we try and prioritize it. So I mean, we prioritize based on like if it's like urgent for a booking, right?
Yeah, basically, if you email about a booking, we know that that's serious and is going to impact your income. If it's something like, can you help me rotate my profile picture? That might be something that takes a bit more time for me to get back to, because I know, as frustrating as it might be in the moment to try and rotate your profile picture, it's not necessarily something that you wouldn't be able to work out by yourself if you asked a friend who was tech savvy. So it's really the things that relate to bookings which we focus on, and if it's about something else, perhaps less serious, then it might take a bit longer for me to go back.
Yeah, and I think I see how late you stay as well trying to get to everything. But it's just like one of those things we wanted to acknowledge because, I know like from a customer experience myself, like if I've got a question, I want it like that instant. That's the digital climate we're in now. So we really want to provide a brilliant service for both customers and musicians. But the reality is on that level, like it's just a volume thing. So we're trying to be, not to say we're perfect at it, but we're trying to be as smart as we can about, again, prioritizing the right things and getting back like super quick. But what we are going to look at doing as well is, again, that's why we're testing out this. Again, moving forward, it'd be more of a webinar format so we can, kind of walk through things that we hear are really useful to people or questions people have. We're going to look at different formats. So it's not just a case of reading through editorial all the time. Maybe it's helpful how-to videos, which can just be, consumed within a minute, 10 seconds. And that can really help with common issues. So we want to look at how we can make all of that like a lot easier and less annoying. But yeah, we do try and get back to what we're not doing is kind of not taking anything seriously. So
yeah, great. Well, if there aren't any more questions, as I say, like feel free to chip in with questions this evening, tomorrow, and we'll be able to get back to them. Also, definitely let us know what you think of the webinar format. It's very much an experiment. We just wanted to, I suppose, have like this new sort of browsing model is probably going to be the biggest change to Encore. It's still in the kind of development stages, but we think that will make it quite a formidable service really for clients. So clients who have a clear idea of what they want will be able to get quotes really quickly, but also someone who doesn't know that much about music is going to be able to browse the biggest selection of musicians in the UK. So that's really exciting. Accompanied to that is a new direct inquiry flow. So some of you may have received direct inquiries before. We know there are a few kind of issues with that could be fixed, and we're actually redesigning the whole experience for a client because it lags slightly behind the standard inquiry flow because we've not spent as much time on it. I suppose that again that's something related to the client experience, but we think it will make a change in the way that you receive your inquiries, and it will make it much easier for clients to go directly to your profile and to book you rather than making an inquiry that you have to apply for. And then finally, also related to this kind of this new journey for clients, we've actually redesigned your profile. Some of you might not have seen this yet because on the inside, when you're logged in, it looks exactly the same as your old profile. But if you click on the viewers public button, which is on just underneath your profile picture, you'll be able to see exactly what your profile looks like to clients. It's much faster, it's much cleaner, and we've done lots of interviews with clients in order to analyze exactly what they want to see. So you'll notice that media is front and center, as are your reviews. If you added a starting price, that will also be near the top. So this is something that we think will really improve the experience for clients, and again, increase the number of inquiries you're going to receive, and make Encore a nicer experience for both musicians and clients.
You've said finally about 8 times, so I'm not going to say finally, but lastly.
Did I say finally for each of those points?
Yeah, I think.
They're all very
You can
final.
watch it back and check.
Okay.
But,
I'll just edit them out. I'll bleep them out.
Yeah. So, I think what we'll do then, because I get that this has been less of a webinar and more of like a live Q&A, but not with many questions. So, what we'll do is send like a survey around, just in terms of like basically give like 4 or 5 different topics to go over in a webinar format. Whatever we get the most interest on, we'll try and prepare something that's quite good and useful. So we can go through it. And again, if it's an example of like a profile that converts really well versus one that does not, but both could be really talented musicians, then we can hope, as long as we get the buy-in from people whose profile they are, or we create like kind of bespoke ones, they'll be able to just kind of like show the subtle differences that can actually have quite a big impact on conversions. So if that's the type of thing helpful, or anything really, we just want this to be a useful resource. So we'll send that around in the next few days.
We've actually got a question just as we were about to leave. So Accordi String Quartet, you got in just in time. So the question is there a typical client profile? And how long do clients spend looking at a band profile? So I'm assuming by client profile, you mean a particular persona or customer type that regularly uses. Create buyer personas, which essentially are kind of like semi-fictional representations of who your customers are. There's quite a few, but if we were to segment it at like a bit more of a top line level, we find a lot of it is couples who are engaged, and they're shopping around online looking to find, as most of us do with most of our purchases now. So the first thing you do is go to Google and search, I need musicians for my wedding, I need a string quartet for my wedding. We try and win that traffic, obviously, through a combination of AdWords, really good content, hopefully rank higher, and then hopefully reputation through referrals and things like this as well. Event planners maybe as well.
Yeah, so I was going to say, top line level, where we certainly see engaged couples as one. If you were to go a bit deeper than that, you can have like father of the bride or mother of the bride as well. So these are people that are kind of taking responsibility for a bit of their daughter or son's wedding, and that's always quite interesting because it can take longer to convert the booking because they have to kind of send things back and forth, and it can take a bit longer. So how you nurture that inquiry is a little bit different. We have event planners, so that can go a bit more into the B2B side. So people that are organising events, or it could be an event planner within even a marketing agency, and they're arranging like a client awards dinner or something like this.
Last Christmas, for example, we booked a close harmony group to sing at the Boxing Day sales at Harrods. So that was a very kind of bespoke booking. So we get kind of all sorts. We also had bookings for bands at Murrayfields and sports events. Yeah, so charity events. You can have it can be HR professionals within organisations, arranging Christmas parties. It can be bar managers, arranging the Friday and Saturday night music, or it could be for particular seasonal occasions throughout the year, like Oktoberfest. They're doing Oktoberfest themed event, obviously St Patrick's Day and New Year's Eve. So, and then you get a lot of people booking for 50th birthday parties, 30th, 40th parties, retirement parties. We actually get a lot of anniversaries as well.
Anniversaries, yeah. We get a lot of military functions as well. There is one thing that kind of unites all of these buyers, though, and that is that they're early adopters is the wrong word, but they're all comfortable buying online, and some of them to the point that they're comfortable enough to go and source a live band. Again, I said to a lot, they've never seen live before, they've never met on a website, they've not been on, not necessarily booked music before, but they have that confidence to say, you know what, I value digital experience so much, is what I'm used to doing. I'm okay with making a purchase here as long as I've got exactly what I'm looking for. But as I say, in terms of like buyer personas or personas, I always say that word wrong. I can't pronounce any word. I'm surprised I have a job, but true story. But yeah,
Joel's very good at his job.
but no, there are tons of like different buyer personas we have, and again, we're like obsessive about trying to understand our customers. We want to do a good job for people.
And then the second question: how long do clients spend looking at a band profile? So we've done a bit of research around this, I think, and it tends to be a period of about 7 to 14. Obviously, going to need longer, or might take longer to come to their decision. So
something we encourage, but again, we try not, because we wouldn't want this ourselves. We try not to be pressuring, but what we do try and do, because customers often don't appreciate this, because again, it's not something they do, and they're not necessarily thinking from the other perspective, but we do try and educate somewhat on the level of urgency to actually make, or be at least proactive with the booking. If you find musicians that you're interested in, you feel are right, start a conversation with them, because again, it may be that your wedding is 6-7 months away, but if it's on a Saturday and it's during wedding season, that the artist that's quoted could be booked up in a few days' time. So we do try and help encourage that urgency by just, again, encouraging customers to be proactive. But yeah, as Johnny said, we see probably an average like 7 to 14 days. But then if people are inquiring for 2020, for example, they're probably not ready to buy yet. If it's for a wedding, they might not even have a venue yet. So again, we just try and nurture that a bit more, knowing that it's less likely the dates will get booked up for musicians also during that time. But equally, we had people come on yesterday that literally within 2 hours had made a booking. So it does vary a bit, but yeah, and we'll see how those timings change as we get better at what we do as well.
Yeah, great. Well, I think we've just about come to the end of our hour. So yeah, I really hope you've enjoyed watching, listening along, or watching back. Thanks, accordion. And do let us know what you thought of the webinar, what you think we could chat about next.
I think it's Shireen, by the way, not Accordi. Accordi's an name for the group. I don't think anybody's called Accordi.
Well, I was just calling them by the name that's coming up on YouTube. So yeah, we'll be putting a poll in the community forum, just asking asking what you thought. But that's everything that we've got time for today. And yeah, we hope to do another one of these soon. So stay tuned.
And also, finally, Jenny, thank you for your time, for taking the time to interact with us now. It's an evening, got good things to do. So what we don't want to do is waste your time. So you can very honestly tell us the bits of this that have wasted your time and those that haven't. And again, tell us what is most useful.
Or tell us if none of it wasted your time. That's also okay.
But yeah, it's
the first try for us. So yeah, we appreciate feedback essentially.
And then just getting a cadence of making this just really valuable stuff, and yeah, helping you guys convert more bookings, and making the platform a better place,
making the world a better place. I think we'll end with that. Cheers, guys.
Thanks again.